News came out last year, and just when everyone was talking about it, the news was confirmed: no chips will be provided to Huawei. As soon as this statement came out, it has recently been allowed to supply mainstream chip products to Huawei. Why did the United States kneel down so quickly this time? Is it really because we can't do without Huawei's order volume? Let's take a look at what the United States is worried about this time. As we all know, the United States has always been eyeing Huawei. It has also tried to cut off Huawei's supply relationships with all American high-tech companies, hoping to completely crush this Chinese company to death. Why is the United States so afraid of Huawei? Its ally Japan has already verified this for us. Welcome to subscribe to Silicon Dragon. We are a YouTube channel focusing on chip technology. We will bring you the latest technology information on the technology war between China and the United States. In the 1980s, the country even spared no effort to support this leading industry, and immediately pressed the stop button on Japan's semiconductor development. They forced the Japanese government to sign the US-Japan Semiconductor Agreement, and took away Japan's exclusive technology at the time. Needless to say, in the face of interests, the so-called alliance is nothing more than a victim that can be abandoned at any time. Although Japan's semiconductor industry cannot be said to be in a state of collapse, it no longer has its former glory, and has also suffered a blow. Since the start of the Sino-US chip war, with the continuous development of local enterprises in China, Chinese-made chips have slowly begun to circulate in China. As a result, the profits of Samsung, South Korea's leading company, have plummeted year by year. Not only that, the United States has also continued to carry out attacks on South Korea. Sanctions. Samsung will face huge fines. This time it is China's turn to develop its manufacturing industry. Just like Japan, the development momentum is quite rapid, but China is different from Japan. China is no one's ally. Therefore, China's leading companies represented by Huawei and ZTE. From Meng when Zhou was detained on trumped-up charges, we could have guessed that Huawei had not communicated with him. But even if Ren Zhengfei flew to the United States in person to apologize, it would be of no avail. This company no longer represents not only Huawei itself, but also the embodiment of China's advanced manufacturing industry. Therefore, it is impossible for the United States to let it go, let alone China, which is grabbing American profits. The United States itself values Huawei's value in this industry even more than China does. But why did the U.S. sanctions only last for such a short period of time? When the president of ASML visited China, he personally said that he had obtained a license to supply chips to Huawei. It has only been a few months. The sanctions against China are equivalent to draining the firepower. What we lack most is this tenacity. Seeing Huawei invest hundreds of billions to build HiSilicon, watching them analyze data and design their own systems. China's independent research and development is completely opposite to the initial complacency of the United States sanctions. Coupled with the loss of the order market of its own sons Qualcomm and ASML to China, the United States began to reflect on its own sanctions policy. After some careful consideration by the Americans, the best option turned out to be to lift some restrictions and sanctions. Why do you say that? Restoring the supply of Qualcomm and ASML can squeeze MediaTek's current share in the high-end market, allowing them to continue to open up the Chinese market. Instead, they want to use this opening to allow Huawei to voluntarily give up HiSilicon's independent research and development. After all, HiSilicon, the pressure and volume are not small, and Huawei's recent financial report is not very good. So maybe Huawei will automatically give up on the gold-eating beast HiSilicon. Of course, Ren Zhengfei also understands this. For Huawei, which has already spent hundreds of billions, it carries too many expectations from Huawei, and there is no way to force us to give up at this time. China is not a weak country. It will never be willing to be subordinate to others, and it is also impossible to be controlled by others. Therefore, Ren Zhengfei made it clear that HiSilicon has no profit requirements, and will not reduce its personnel. When the United States launched sanctions, it was afraid that it would be the next to be sanctioned. Oppo's chip business, which invested $50 billion in research and development, was also forced to shut down. This must be a helpless move for the company if they want to continue to survive. Relatively small companies have no choice but to give up. These hegemonic hands have been stuck on the necks of the Chinese people for too long. If we do not develop our own technology, if we are blinded by the sugar-coated bullets of temporarily lifting the ban today, in order to save money, we choose to rely on imports. If a conflict occurs, we will still dumbfounded in this war without gunpowder. The original Japanese government volunteered to ban the supply of various equipment from its own country to China in order to express its unconditional support for the United States' decision. With the lifting of the ban on Qualcomm and ASML, Japan has become the biggest joke. Not only was it stabbed by its ally the United States, but it also gave up its market share to it in vain. The history of cooperation between Qualcomm and Huawei can be traced back many years. Qualcomm has cooperated with Huawei and other internet manufacturers to promote the popularization of 5G technology. Due to the ban imposed by the U.S. government on Huawei, U.S. companies such as Qualcomm have had to interrupt their supply to Huawei. This has led to bottlenecks in Huawei's production and business. It is expected to alleviate the supply chain pressure faced by Huawei and help Huawei accelerate the development of its 5G business. Going forward, resuming supplies to Huawei would also benefit Qualcomm. In addition, the cooperation between Qualcomm and Huawei, which have a good relationship, has also brought more opportunities and challenges to the two companies, supporting the resumption of supply to Huawei. As one of the world's largest foundries and semiconductor manufacturing companies, TSMC is very sensitive to the U.S. government's sanctions and controls on Chinese companies such as Huawei, because the U.S. government's actions will not only affect Chinese companies such as Huawei, but also companies such as TSMC bring certain negative impacts. With the outbreak of the COVID-19 epidemic and the downturn of the global economy, various countries are strengthening the development of local industries, and also proposing more economic protectionist policies. These policies will not only have an adverse impact on international trade, but also on semiconductors. Potential negative impacts on the industry. The lithography machines it manufactures play a very important role in the chip manufacturing process. The U.S. government's controls on Huawei also include competition for the company to purchase U.S. equipment and technology. Therefore, Huawei cannot purchase ASML products, which is also a loss for ASML. ASML expressed its support for the exemption of Huawei and hopes to continue to sell its advanced photolithography machine products to Huawei to promote the healthy development and cooperation of the global chip industry. Openness and cooperation are the keys to advancing technology and industry. Enterprise cooperation is the key to the healthy development of the semiconductor industry. The semiconductor industry is the most competitive industry in the world, including manufacturing, foundry, design, testing and many other aspects, as a highly specialized industry. The semiconductor industry often requires close cooperation between various enterprises to ensure product quality and production efficiency. Especially in the current global economic downturn, companies are eager to find new business opportunities and seek more development opportunities. By relaxing controls on Huawei's Chinese companies and technologies, we can promote multi-party cooperation and jointly promote the development of the global semiconductor industry. Qualcomm's resumption of supply to Huawei and the statements of companies such as TSMC ASML have provided the semiconductor industry with more cooperation opportunities and development space. This is not only conducive to the development and competition of various companies, but also conducive to promoting the healthy development and development of the global semiconductor industry. Cooperate. Only continued openness and cooperation can bring more opportunities and challenges to the semiconductor industry, and promote the continuous progress and breakthroughs of semiconductor technology. China has made good news in the chip field, and good news about breakthroughs is emerging one after another. For example, the first Chinese-made 7nm GPU chip was launched in Shanghai. A Chinese company released a fully self-developed cloud 7nm chip, and even an automobile manufacturer developed a 7nm cockpit chip. Is Chinese chip technology really that powerful? Even SMIC has not broken through the restrictions. How did other unknown companies do it? Is this really true? In fact, the sources of information are all true, and Chinese companies have indeed launched related products, but this does not mean that Chinese chips have solved the stuck problem. For example, SMIC has not yet purchased an EUV lithography machine, since the Netherlands has made it clear that it sees no hope for the development of Chinese chips. SMIC may not even be able to buy a DUV lithography machine. SMIC plans to use DUV lithography machines to forcefully break through US chip restrictions. Although it forced the use of DUV lithography machines, SMIC can use other technologies to make up for it. Now it seems that there is no possibility of making up for it. Indeed, as the United States joins forces with the Netherlands and Japan, the agreement includes DUV lithography machines for the production of 14 nanometers. If SMIC does not have the support of this kind of DUV lithography machine, even if it has a new solution to solve the problem of 7nm chips, it will still be unable to produce 7nm chips. But here comes the question, is it true that it claims to have made a major breakthrough in the field of 7nm chips? Tianshujixin has released a cloud-based 7nm GPU chip product. The so-called GPU is a general-purpose graphics processor, which is a chip specially used to handle graphics computing and high-performance computing. This chip will also be used in the field of artificial intelligence in the future. Tsai Quanjing, chairman of Tianshujixin, said that in today's context, where new infrastructure industries such as cloud computing, data centers, and 5G construction are accelerating their development, they are continuing to concentrate on the cloud, spread to the frontier, and sink to the end. The industry's demand for high performance, high energy efficiency, and cost-effective computing power has increased exponentially. The cloud 7nm chip products created by Tianshu Intelligent Core are designed to enhance China's strength in this area and make us comparable to leading international manufacturers. The full name of GPU is General Purpose Graphics Processor, which can run general-purpose computing tasks other than graphics processing, and has large storage bandwidth. Therefore, it is underestimated by artificial intelligence model training and inference high-performance computing. Many people may not know the value of GPU, no concept. In reality, the current price of a high-end GPU version from a leading supplier is close to the price of an ordinary car. By 2025, China's GPU chipboard market will reach 45.8 billion yuan, with a compound annual growth rate of more than 30% from 2019 to 2025. From CPUs, operating systems, office suites, complete machines to servers, China has initially developed some commercially available independent innovative products, but there is still room for breakthroughs in the GPU field, which has been monopolized by giants such as Nvidia and AMD in the United States. As China's first hard technology company focusing on GPU chip high-performance computing systems, Tianshujixin creatively leverages the advantages of ultra-large-scale parallel computing architecture through insight into the nature of high-performance computing represented by AI, and the development of high-end processors, and develops the self-controllable, first-class universal standard high-performance cloud GPU computing chip fills the gap in China's GPU industry. The product was successfully lit in December 2020. Over the past month or so, the Tianshujixin technical team has conducted a series of tests on nearly 100 indicators, including hardware and software, to verify that the actual functions of the product meet the design standards. The B chip can accommodate 24 billion transistors and can complete artificial intelligence processing of hundreds of cameras and video channels per second. With performance up to twice that of mainstream products on the market, the lighting up of B chips is of great significance not only to Tianshu Smart Chip, but also to the independent research and development of high-performance chips in China. It will enhance the independent controllability of China's industrial chain and supply chain. Since the development of the Cloud 7nm GPU chip, the B chip has been a one-time success in just 2 years. The B Cloud training chip illuminated this time can provide artificial intelligence and related vertical application industries with computing power that matches the rapid development of the industry through standardized software and hardware ecological interfaces. It can help the application industry solve problems such as difficulty in product use and high development platform migration costs, pain points at the operational level. In addition, there are also the Shikai 100, which is used for mass production of AI inference chips, and the development of second and third generation AI training chips, Tianhuan 200 and 300, which are the first 7nm chips, launched by Tianshu Jixin, Ni Guannan, an academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, once said that he has always adhered to equal emphasis on independence, controllability and open innovation. He has already had its own technical system and ecological performance, which is also very good, and has received strong support from the government, many investors and partners. Tsai Quanjing, chairman of Tianshu Jixing, said that Tianshu Jixing is targeting the 7nm cloud GPU strategy. Tianshu Jixin's cloud chip B self-classification has attracted many outstanding investment institutions to be optimistic about this track. A company with actual chip products based on GPU architecture, a world-class general-purpose parallel high-performance chip. The general-purpose parallel GPU cloud training chip developed by it is positioned as a general-purpose high-performance computing chip with high road barriers. The track will be the benchmark product for Chinese-made chips in the future. We are optimistic about the technical strength and growth potential of Tianshu Jixin and hope to develop together with enterprises and build an ecosystem together. The rapid development of 5G applications and the construction of new infrastructure will continue to increase the demand for massive computing. Local companies that are commercializing cloud training chips are looking forward to promoting the large-scale commercial implementation of their products as soon as possible. Such good news from China is not fake news. This is also a breakthrough and progress made by China in the chip field. However, according to foreign technical reports, the so-called chip manufacturing process is just numbers. On the contrary, the process chips of these top chip manufacturers are also very watery. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is the width of the chip. Regardless of Samsung, there is a certain degree of moisture in their chip manufacturing process. For example, Intel's once proclaimed 14nm chip was actually only 24 nanometers according to expert measurements. TSMC's 16nm chip measured 33 nanometers, and the actual line width was only 30 nanometers, so it is not difficult to see that the so-called 3nm chips, or 7nm chips now have a certain degree of moisture in the chip manufacturing process. But the term world's top is undeniable, because even the so-called 7 nanometers are only 14 in width, nano, but as long as its performance can beat other chip manufacturers, and its stability is not inferior to any chip products, it is equivalent to the world's top chip. And it is not a fiction. China's world's top 7 nanometers Chinese-made chips have been officially unveiled, which is undeniable. Nowadays, there are many GPU players in China, and many innovative companies, including Tianshu and Jixin, continue to make efforts in financing and product commercialization. China's GPU innovation companies will gradually transition from competition for capital and talent to a new stage of competition, in product competition and market competition. The road to local self-developed chips is often arduous and full of risks for these startup teams. In addition to developing chip products that satisfy customers, how to find a living space in a market dominated by giants, and how to build their own ecology are all important. This is a challenge that needs to be overcome on the road to future commercialization. China's Huawei has always been the leader of Chinese technology companies. The development of domestic technology companies is still affected by comprador thinking and does not pay attention to the development of the semiconductor chip industry. Huawei's Ren Zhengfei is keenly aware of the importance of the development of the semiconductor chip industry. In terms of investment, HiSilicon Semiconductor Company was established within Huawei. Huawei's investment in HiSilicon Semiconductor has been increasing year after year, although Huawei has been suppressed by the United States in the field of semiconductor chips. Huawei still has not given up on HiSilicon in terms of chip research and development, especially Huawei's HiSilicon. The comprehensive experience of its Kirin chips based on the 5nm process completely surpassed Qualcomm at the time, with the support of Kirin chip business. Huawei's mobile phone sales once surpassed Apple's and became the second largest mobile phone in the world, machine brand. However, in terms of chip manufacturing, the early comprador mentality was deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. In order to achieve quick profits, many companies did not want to invest too much in research and development. Some directly imported, and some erased the trademarks of other people's products and put their own labels on them. This behavior has made it impossible for HiSilicon Kirin chips to be mass-produced since the United States revised chip regulations in chip manufacturing technology. You must know that the research and development of semiconductor chips is a very complicated process and requires a large amount of research and development funds. Now, under the pressure of the United States, the advanced Kirin processor chips developed by Huawei HiSilicon cannot be produced. This also makes HiSilicon, in order to produce Kirin chips on paper, Huawei has to invest a large amount of road funds in HiSilicon every year. In addition, there are huge salary expenditures. HiSilicon Semiconductor seems to have become a burden, although HiSilicon Semiconductor has long been established. After TSMC stopped producing chips for Huawei, Huawei's HiSilicon Kirin processors became absolutely inferior. Nowadays, the inventory of Kirin chips is depleted, and Huawei chips cannot escape their fate. Huawei has publicly stated that it will use limited chips to extend the life cycle of its mobile phone business indefinitely. The major reshuffle of HiSilicon, which lacks foundry services, has finally ushered in an expected result. According to the 2022 Q2 mobile phone SoC market ranking data released by Counterpoint, a third-party research organization, Huawei ranks last in sales, and its share is only 0.4%. That is, only 4 of 1,000 chips come from Huawei. Basically, it has officially returned to zero. In the field of technology research and development, Huawei has invested more than $480 billion in HiSilicon Semiconductor in the past 10 years. It is precisely with the support of this huge road funding that Huawei HiSilicon has made great achievements in semiconductor research and development. Numerous achievements have been achieved in the field of chip research and development, but now that Huawei's HiSilicon chips cannot be produced, it is always just talk on paper. Once Huawei gives up, the $480 billion investment will be wasted and revenue will decline. However, Huawei still has not given up its investment in HiSilicon, and Huawei's Ren Zhengfei also said that Huawei will never give up the HiSilicon department. This also means that Huawei still needs to invest huge road funds for HiSilicon every year to support HiSilicon chip development. Facing the dilemma of Huawei's development, Huawei soon established more than a dozen business core, and began to carry out research and development and breakthroughs in various fields. Since TSMC terminated its cooperation with Huawei in 2019, Huawei has been using inventory chips in the past 2 years. Huawei mobile phones have been shipped, and it is only a matter of time before the chips return to zero. Previously, Ren Zhengfei publicly stated that he would survive and pass on the cold to everyone. For a time, This passage was widely circulated in WeChat moments, and many people thought it was a prophet of ducks in the spring river, but the cold weather has invaded the internet industry. The United States is not just suppressing Huawei, but wants to completely eliminate Huawei, because Huawei has touched the roots of the United States. After being cut off from supply, Huawei's investment in HiSilicon has increased every year. These road expenses are nothing more than wasted. We will not give up on HiSilicon, and we have also given up any requirement for HiSilicon to be profitable. We have even sounded the rally call, and established 5 major legions to break the existing boundaries, quickly gather resources, improve Huawei's profitability, and thus bravely climb to the top. The Hsi people provided a steady stream of dry food. As Ren Zhengfei said, peace must be fought through hard work and heroic sacrifice to create a peaceful environment for the next 30 years so that no one dares to bully us. The following is some of my personal analysis and opinions on this matter. First of all, its supply chain has been greatly impacted, especially in the chip field. Huawei is facing huge challenges and pressure. Huawei has increased its investment and layout in self-developed chips, and launched a series of self-developed chip products. These chip products can not only meet Huawei's own needs, but also be sold to other customers, providing a platform for the sustainable development of the company. Solid foundation and support. Huawei's HiSilicon Semiconductor Company has strong technical strength and accumulated experience in independent research and development of chips, and is committed to developing various chips and system solutions, covering multiple fields such as communications, smart home, and vehicle-mounted Internet of Things. At present, HiSilicon Semiconductor has developed a series of independently developed chip products and has had a greater impact in the market. If Huawei can make a breakthrough in independently developing chips, it will greatly improve the company's core competitiveness and market competitiveness. Huawei's chip strategy requires reasonable planning and careful implementation, and it cannot easily give up external cooperation and open development. Although Huawei has made many achievements in independently researching and developing chips, it still needs to continue to strengthen and improve its support and layout in terms of technology, talents, and funds. Huawei should also adhere to the principle of open cooperation and carry out exchanges and cooperation with other technology companies to promote the healthy and stable development of the global technology industry. In short, Huawei plans to start mass production of self-developed chips around the second half of 2022. This is an important step in Huawei's chip strategy, and it will strengthen its understanding and research of the technology industry and promote the continuous development and progress of the technology industry. Huawei also needs to carefully plan and implement its chip strategy, strengthen the balance between independent research and development and open cooperation, and provide a more solid foundation and support for the company's sustainable development. For technology companies like Huawei, semiconductor chips undoubtedly play a very important role. Although HiSilicon Semiconductor is now reduced to paper talk, it does not mean that HiSilicon Semiconductor chips cannot be produced in the future. With China's continuous research and development and breakthroughs in stuck technologies such as photolithography machines, we can solve the problem, difficulties in chip production. Precisely because Huawei has not given up, we cannot lose confidence in the return of HiSilicon Kirin. In the past 2 years, Huawei has failed to build chips with stronger performance and has been looking for new solutions. For example, Huawei's independently developed chip stacking technology uses advanced packaging technology to stack 2 or more mature process chips to achieve the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. At the same time, Huawei's photonic chips, with the continuous improvement of China's photonic chip, quantum chip and other production lines, I believe that Kirin chips will return as king in the near future. Therefore, even if Huawei's investment is in vain, as long as it has HiSilicon Kirin chips, Huawei will have one more trump card in its hands. No matter how hard it is, it cannot suffer from technological research and development. Let us cheer for Huawei and HiSilicon. Demand for high-end chips has declined, and manufacturers such as Samsung have significantly reduced production capacity. TSMC plans to cut 40% of EUV lithography machine orders in 2024. Samsung's net profit plummeted 96% in the first quarter of this year, and it also announced a reduction in memory chip production capacity. Most chip manufacturers are shrinking. There is good news from SMIC. Capital expenditure in 2023 will reach approximately 90 billion yuan compared with 2022. In addition, ASML announced that the Dove lithography machine that can be shipped can cover up to 7 nanometers. SMIC may welcome come turn. Yu Chengdong publicly stated that Huawei can develop and design world-class chips, but China is temporarily unable to manufacture them. At the same time, it was announced that Huawei will fully enter the chip semiconductor field, just to cut off the supply of advanced processes below 14 nanometers. 7 nanometers cannot stop SMIC. First of all, the 7 nanometers research and development task has been completed. Chinese manufacturers are able to independently develop and design 7 nanometers, 5 nanometers and other chips, and even 3 nanometers process chips are in progress. TSMC Zhang Hongmao has publicly admitted that the chip research and development capabilities of Chinese manufacturers are very strong, and TSMC engineers have been unable to evaluate in detail the comprehensive computing power of China automobile chip. In addition, Liang Mengsong said as early as the end of 2020 that once the research and development tasks of 7-nanometer chips have been completed, the most difficult work of the 5-nanometer process has begun. After the EUV lithography machine arrives, the research and development of 5-nanometer chips can be fully carried out. The key is that SMIC has produced chips using the N+1 process on a small scale. The logic area of the chip is similar to that of TSMC, while the N+2 process focuses on high performance. SMIC will mass produce the 8 nanometers process by the end of this year. These news prove that SMIC. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope the information we have provided will be helpful to you. If you have cutting-edge information you would like to know, please leave us a message.